Oh, just say scrap.
Oh, just say scrap.
As something new.
As something new.
It's Make It Mondays just for you. So come and see what we are creating. Make It Mondays just for you.
Hello friends, today we are doing our Sending You a Hug National Stamping Month kit. So we are starting off by doing our stenciling like we have been for all of these cards. The stenciling, as you have seen throughout all of the Make It Monday videos for National Stamping Month, are so different. And the way that they're used, it just is awesome because there's so many different techniques that we can use, so many different ink colors that just make them different, which is amazing. So on this one, we started with our darker colors. We used our archival black, then our charcoal ink, and then we are coming in with some of our lighter colors. So this is our honey butter, and then we are adding on top of that our flamingo ink. So it just gives you a totally different vibe than the last one. If you saw our birthday set, It's Your Birthday, that had a lot more of the journey and the blues, and this one's going to have a lot more of those yellows and those pinks. So just showing you how different these stamp sets or these stencils can be used. So what I'm doing here is I am using our paper saving method. If you have never seen this before, make sure you go check out our paper saving technique Tuesday video. And I am actually using my blending brush to ink the edges of this. So it is out of white daisy paper. I have never used a blending brush before to ink the edges of a paper. So it actually worked out really well and I was happy about how that worked. And then I'm taking my thin 3D foam tape, the smaller version of that, and just putting that around the edge. So when I put this onto my card, we're going to get that 3D feel. You might not be able to see it as well in the video, but I promise it is a really, really cute technique. It gives a whole different dimension to your card as well. So that just is something to keep in mind if you want to kind of give your card a little pizzazz. So we are going to be stamping everything for this card kit before we do the cards, just because I figured it was easier. And as you saw, I did lay out all of my flower shapes before I actually started stamping. That's because I want all of my thin cuts to be going in the same direction because it makes stamping so much easier, that I can just go to my ink pad and then back to my Versa mat to stamp those sentiments or those images. So with these, I actually made my circles a little bit smaller. I took the circle thin cut that I had. I don't have the new one, so I had the older one. But I used it. It's a little bit smaller than the brand new one that's in the catalog, but I made it work. So as you saw there, I did use some of the masking tape and I had to mask a little bit. You'll see it as I get to that card, but I had to mask the sentiment a little bit to make it fit onto my card. But hey, it worked really well. So now we are just throwing this card together. I did pop up the sentiment and then I glued some of the leaves underneath it. I did pop up some of the flowers as well next to the sentiment just to give the whole entire card a little bit of a dimensional feel. And then we added some of our acrylic shapes as well to give some more bling and some pizzazz to this card. And that's basically it. That is how we did this card. We did not color any of our flowers. You totally can if you want to. You can always add some ink to them, whatever you would like to do. But we kind of liked the black and white look. That's how Close to My Heart created these, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. So that's card 1, and now we are on to card 2. So there we go again, stenciling time. Make sure that we are adhering that down to our all-purpose mat, and then we can use your hands as you are using your stencil, especially one like this that has such big wide open gaps that you could potentially get your blending brush or sponge stuck underneath. You do want to watch that when you're doing it. A cool thing about this one is you see when I used the honey butter, we actually went over the flamingo and it made it a little bit of an orangey look. So that was intentional instead of it going into the center how it's supposed to be. So you can actually flip your stencils and make them line up differently than they're supposed to, and you can get a cool design like that. So as you saw, we used our black shimmer brush to add some splatter. We did the exact same cutting technique as we did before, but this time I used a regular sponge, if you didn't catch that, and see how it's a darker, more defined black edge. So that is kind of the difference between the blending brush and the sponge, so you can kind of get whatever look that you desire. And then we did the same thing. We popped up our sentiment. We are going to start to add some of the flowers and the leaves to our card. either gluing some of them down. As you saw there, I actually did half glue and half foam tape. That's because I was gluing it on top of the sentiment as well. So I didn't want to double pop on top of the sentiment and not on the rest of the flower. And then just adding some embellishments and making it really pretty. So the one thing I did forget on the first card, so I went back, is I used our clear shimmer brush. So you saw, or I said before that we didn't color them in. We didn't. But adding a little bit of that clear shimmer brush gives it a really nice sparkle that's not picking up as well on the video. I try to show you here. You can see I really did try to get that sparkle, but you can see it on some of them better than the others, especially over the friend, things like that. You can see that sparkle, but it looks amazing in person. So if you've got a clear shimmer brush, or if you don't have a clear shimmer brush, make sure you go get one of those in your next order because they are amazing. The same thing with our gold shimmer brush, actually. Our gold is also a clear ink, but it has gold sparkle in it. So it doesn't give you that golden look or that golden ink color. It actually is just the gold sparkle, which is amazing. So here we are onto our next card. As you saw there, I only did half of one of those stencils, which makes it look really cool too. Being able to use these stencils in so many different ways and making different designs really is an awesome technique. So we wanted to just show you that. And here, this actually was supposed to be a black piece of paper, but I had accidentally cut it in white. So what I did was I just took that archival black ink, went around the edge with my blending brush, and I wanted to add some of that black sparkle. So as you saw, I actually did it on some of the paper. It got mostly into the middle. So then we just tapped the edge of our cardstock into that black sparkle, which was left on our all-purpose mat, and we got some really cool splatters on the edge of our paper. So then we just put the rest of the flowers onto our card and added those leaves, added some foam tape just to give it dimension like the others, and then I found some of our black acrylic shapes that I had because once again I don't have the current ones, so I just used some of my older black hearts. And that was the finish to that card. So on to our next one. So for this one, we once again had to stencil first. So we have our Quadrant stencil here and just used our masking tape to glue that down to our all-purpose mat. And then we used the charcoal first. Then the next color that I'm going to use is the Lagoon. So you saw that I wiped that off again. And then I used my Lagoon, put it to the side so I can go wash it after that. Then we're using our Honey Butter for the next color, wiping that down, flipping that back over, following my numbers that I had written on there, and then we are going to add some Glacier. I really love this color combination. I just think it's really pretty, especially for cards like this. I don't know, there's just something about the blues and the yellow and the black that just stands out so nicely, and I love it. You also saw that we did the same technique with the blending brush on the outside of that white again on this card. This time I did not use any of the shimmer brush, but we did just use it to color in those flowers, go back onto the other card and color in those flowers as well. And then I found that I had actually missed a flower on one of those other cards, so we threw that onto the card itself. So for this one, I used, once again, my embellishments that I had, and so we finished that, but that's the cards. And that is also the finish of our National Stamping Month card sets. So if you haven't seen any of the other Make It Mondays, make sure that you go check them out. But isn't this set absolutely adorable? The shimmer brush isn't showing up as much on the cards and the samples as I wish they did on the camera, but it really is a beautiful clear shimmer on all of these cards and just showing you that you can do so much with them. So yes, these are the Sending You a Hug cards, or to my very special friend, but you could always put a birthday sentiment in these or anything like that. But that's Make It Monday.